And what is up, everybody? I just finished seeing another bogus coming soon movie poster for the Thundercats. It's it's infuriating, especially when people who are not digital media savvy are under the impression that that's a real movie poster. And to even think that, it's just kind of dumb, especially because there has been no. They've been talking about making this movie for years. There's been no casting call. There's been no script, no producer, not even rumors of a director even trying to get on this project yet. You know why? Because Warner Brothers is run by idiots. I honest to God can't think of a better reason than that. Warner Brothers is run by idiots. Think about back when Thundercats first came out. It was a syndicated show, meaning any net. They made the show in hopes that some television stations somewhere would actually buy it. And of course, it wasn't a regular Saturday morning cartoon, so it wasn't bought by NBC, it wasn't bought by ABC, CBS, or anything like that. Basically, you would have to, hopefully, like in New York, we have WPIX 11, which was later turned into WB11 and now CW11. You had UPN 9, which is now My 9. You had what was it? You had Fox 5, and all of those channels. Majority of the time, they're either they're rerunning like primetime shows, or majority of the stuff is all syndicated. Back in the 80s and early 90s, everything they played was syndicated. They had nothing original. It wasn't until the WB came out that was still playing syndicated shows, but then had its own network originals that they were doing. Thundercats in the 80s was a syndicated show. I don't even remember what channel I used to watch it on. I just know that it was on, and I would watch it. That was it. The show came out. Not sure what year it came out in the 80s, but it lasted for 2 seasons and ran 8 more years on just the reruns. Show lasted 10 years, being broadcasted regularly, and the last 8 years was reruns. That's how good the show was. Good on you. Then, of course, 90s comes around, stop broadcasting the show. Cartoon Network comes along. Cartoon Network basically used to play all the old cartoons that we used to know and love. Stuff from the 80s, stuff from the 60s, 70s. Okay, great. Show, perfect. You have something for that. And even some of the classic shows from the early 90s, like Tasmania, even started doing Road Rovers. Here's the problem. They started coming up with their own shows. Cartoon Network basically is owned by Warner Brothers. So anything that they play on the show, on the channel, is whatever they have the rights to now. So classics like Thunder the Barbarian, the Centurions, Thundercats, all currently owned by Warner Brothers. They have the rights to it. So Thundercats being no different. In the 90s, when they were playing Thundercats, now started replacing it with all these, replacing all the cartoons from the 80s, 70s, 60s with their own original stuff, and even stuff from the 90s, which wasn't that long forgotten. They had to come out with Boomerang, which was great, because now Boomerang is what Cartoon Network was supposed to be. Here's the problem with Boomerang. Now, thanks to Cartoon Network's ridiculous amounts of original cartoons, all their stuff got switched over, and then they have no idea as to what the hell, because they're constantly juggling around. It's like, okay, how long is this cartoon going to stay in this time slot? They're constantly swapping out time slots with, Thunder the Barbarian, or even Samurai Jack. As good a show as Samurai Jack was, it's I don't consider it as big a classic as, like, definitely not Thunder the Barbarian, not Centurions, and sure as hell not Thundercats. Great show, but hasn't really stood the true test of time yet. You don't see too many people wearing Samurai Jack T-shirts. You see that giant cat logo. Everybody knows what that is. Not everybody knows what Samurai Jack is. Everybody knows the Thundercat logo. And to basically, like, bring back any form of nostalgia, which I greatly appreciated, and a lot of fans did, but at the same time I want to say few fans did. The 2011 Thundercats animated series. They had the original voice of Lionel come back and play as King Claudius. It was basically the entire universe was rethought. Thundera was actually an empire as opposed to an entire planet. The planet they're on is Third Earth. The cats are basically a race of people, but then each individual cat is its own, has its own clan. So the Lion clans, they have to be the king. You had the Tiger clan, where Tiger was from, and then Tigra being an adopted prince. That whole story was just absolutely amazing, and you get the character development and the backstories for every single one of these characters, and the show was absolutely brilliant. Why did it only get one season? Because Warner Brothers, which owns Cartoon Network, has no idea how to market their own show. They did the same thing with the 2002 Masters of the Universe. The show was brilliant. That show at least got 2 seasons. But as far as the toy line, didn't market it well. Mattel basically. Now the thing is with Masters of the Universe is Mattel's intellectual property. So for them to make the cartoon about it, which was a good idea, and it was a very great show, and these new figures were great. Mattel didn't market their toys well enough. They made entirely too many He-Man and Skeletor variants for no reason. On top of that, Cartoon Network didn't do a good job of marketing the show. But the show had 2 seasons on Cartoon Network, part of their normal after school Toonami lineup, and there's people that had no idea that show existed. Same thing with the 2011 Thundercats. The toy line was not marketed at all. The show was done in Japan, and just like the original show was. Difference being, now it wasn't an American toy company making the toys. It was Bandai. Bandai didn't do a good enough job marketing the toys. The only marketing we got was in toy magazines. You had to be a collector to know what was going on. When the show came out, okay, they advertised it for a little while, but then they didn't market it well enough. There's people, 2011 wasn't that long ago, and again, there's people that had no idea whatsoever that this show existed. Yet, those same people that had no idea this show existed are complaining that, they should make a Thundercats movie. Has it ever occurred to you that maybe, just maybe, because you're left in the dark as to what they've done with Thundercats, they can't make that movie? Seriously, think of the A-Team movie. Okay, came out 2010. Great movie. I absolutely loved it. I don't know anybody that saw it and didn't like it. Yet the movie underperformed. The movie underperformed. Therefore, they're not going to make another A-Team movie, even though they should. They absolutely should make a new A-Team movie. Movie underperformed. They're not even trying to make a sequel out of it. As good as that movie was, they're not even trying to make more money off of it. How stupid is that? It was the same, I want to say it was the same thing with Fight Club, but Fight Club being more of an art movie, and as great as Fight Club was, it was much better received. It was much better received later on. The same thing with the Princess Bride. But those are movies that you couldn't really get. You weren't really trying to get a franchise out of. They were just trying to tell a story, and they did a great job with it. Thundercats is entirely too big a property to just throw at anybody. Look at what they did to G.I. Joe. Look at what Michael Bay's been doing to the Transformers lately. Look at what Michael Bay did to the Ninja Turtles. Do you really, considering the fact that not too many, they don't even do a good enough job of marketing their own product, do you really think they're going to do a good job of making this movie? Yeah, I'm basically doing my part to raise awareness for the 2011 series because it only got the one season and it was left with a ginormous cliffhanger. The show didn't even finish. I mean, I would have felt better if you would at least given us a 45-minute TV special just to cap it off. We didn't get that. And like I said, just a huge opening left in at the end. Not even gonna try to do finish it. And this is back in 2011. Show ended 2012. So this is going on now 4 years later. They're not even trying to finish the show. They started playing it on. I heard they started playing it on Adult Swim at one point. I don't even know if they're still playing it because again, Warner Brothers is run by idiots. These are the same people who decided, oh yeah, let's reboot the entire DC universe to introduce it to the new generation. I was born 30 years after Superman, and yet I had no problem jumping into the lore from however many years ago it was. Same thing with Marvel. Why did you feel the need to completely obliterate and erase everything that people have gone through the trouble of backlogging and researching over and over again for the characters that they love, and you just completely scrub the entire thing? You want a Thundercats movie? Not gonna happen. It's probably a good thing that it doesn't happen. Up until you raise awareness for the 2011 series. If the 2011 series, gets a second season, then see about finally getting a new Thundercats movie. I'm done talking. You guys have a good night.